Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am here with Robbie. Bobby, what's up, guy?
Not much, brother. Just getting ready for tonight's game. I'm kind of excited for it. You don't seem so excited, but I'm excited to see what Tampa can do.
Yeah, I do think the spread is pretty wild. -8.5 is what I saw last.
I'd take Tampa.
It's interesting. I think Tampa Bay is playing a lot better. I'm surprised that it's so big of a gap there. We have I just thought of a name, and it's not. What's up, Albert? We got some grid coming up. We're gonna need your help, I'm sure. We have studs and duds. I know that's not original.
We were talking about it last week. I like studs.
Hot or not, studs and duds.
Yeah.
Love, hate. It's less must start, must sit. So we definitely need to change that name. Studs and duds is kind of fun.
We'll work on it this week. We'll come back to it. We'll circle back.
We got our DFS lineups. I just built a God lineup. Should win.
Mario's excited.
Mario's
excited for his lineup.
Well, there's multiple people. I don't want to give any spoilers away right now. Multiple people that I usually shit on and don't have. So, and I'm really excited for this lineup.
Maybe I'll piggyback.
You should.
I'll piggyback yours. You piggyback mine.
All right, we can do that. I'm trying to get this tweet out. Robbie, you ready to get into this grid?
Let's do it. Yeah. Well, was it Dynasty Daddy?
Little immaculate grid.
I'm always ready for some grid games.
Dude, it has been a lot of fun, actually. I've really enjoyed doing this every time.
Made my knowledge a lot better. I'll say that.
You've been studying before. Like, crap. I know we're going to do grid game. Got to get my studying on. All right, let's get into it.
Look at rosters from 1999.
Yeah. So if you're listening, grid game, imagine it as 9 squares. And then you have 3 teams on the left going vertically, and then 3 teams on the top going horizontally. The first one, we'll start with the horizontal teams. We got Atlanta Falcons. So Atlanta Falcons, and then if we move down, you see the Giants, Atlanta Falcons and the Jags, Atlanta Falcons and the Cards. Then we move over one, we got the Pats with the Giants, Pats with the Jags, Pats with the Cards. And then the last one is 10 plus sacks in a season since 1999. We have that with the Giants, the Jags, and the Cards. So, I mean, since 1999, there's a few guys on this defense that we can name, right?
Michael Strahan comes to mind.
He's the first one I instantly think. And then on this team, did we have a good J.J. Watt year here?
Oh, yeah.
We did. Didn't we have one?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. And then on the Jags, we have
Yannick.
Spell it.
Yannick. Y. I think it's 2 N's. YANN, maybe. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
You were studying. We just crushed that.
That was
there
recent. He had a massive season one year.
Calvin Ridley already off the board.
There we go. We had Pats Jags last week, right? Who'd we use? Fred Taylor?
I think that's exactly who was used.
Yeah. Go back to the well.
make it easy on ourselves,
Ooh, Falcons.
There's
Giants.
there's an RB here that I'm not thinking of right now.
I can't think of any for this one. It's gonna be something stupid like a kicker, quarterback, backup quarterback. Can you think of a Falcons kicker?
Oh, only one I could think of is Young Ho. Young Ho. All right, we'll come back to that one. Falcons, Cards. Ugh, another. I feel like I'm struggling right now. Giants, Pats.
I got one for that.
What's
I
that?
just know this because it's an ex-Browns player. Danny Shelton.
He played on the Giants.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a color I haven't even seen.
He was a weird one that I followed his career.
That's a color I haven't even seen, dude.
Yeah. What the D end? Jones.
Chandler?
Yeah.
I thought he was Las Vegas. I think he was, but
It was Cards and Pats too. Pats, yeah. Yeah.
He must have started on the Pats then?
Yeah.
Started
he's big for them.
And then Raiders. Mm-hmm. Okay. Falcons, Cards. Falcons, Cards. Falcons,
Cards. I got the running back for Falcons Giants.
Who is it? I knew there was a running back.
Son of Freeman.
Freeman played for
It was he ended on Giants.
Wow.
You suck.
So we're just down to Cards and Falcons. I think there's a wide receiver that we're not thinking of right now.
Colt McCoy, maybe?
I don't think he was.
He was with the Cards, right?
He's definitely. I mean, he was just with the Cards.
Yeah. I thought he might have had a little stint in Atlanta.
Probably
like a cornerback.
30 more seconds here. Falcons.
Calais Campbell.
Boom. Our guy. Is
really?
Wow. All I know him as Ravens. So Albert really pulled back from the
Calais Campbell.
He is with the Falcons right now, right?
He's been everywhere, I feel like.
Really?
He's one of those players.
Huge call out from
Albert 2 weeks in a row, clearing it.
All right, let's get into some news. So, OBJ, Keaton Mitchell, Zach Moss, Trevor Lawrence, Gerald Everett, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle, Hunter Henry, Daniel Jones, all limited. Who on this list are you most concerned with?
Waddle would be my guy. He could barely walk at points of that game. Even though he came back, it didn't look great. It's a back issue. It can linger a little bit. So I would say Waddle for me is probably the most concerning.
I not the most concerning. I understand where you're coming from, but for me, I think Gerald Everett has the most likelihood of missing, but I don't think many people are starting him.
I think Daniel Jones does.
Least likely chance to start. You think he's out another week?
I would think so.
Really? I'm surprised they're not just turning to IR. Then this would make it week 3.
I mean, a neck issue. Have they said they want him to clear some sort of like contact stuff? I don't know. I would say Daniel Jones is my most worried, but Waddle, I'm like scared just for rest of season outlook. I hope gets back to being healthy.
Justin Fields, David Montgomery, Robert Woods, Zay Jones, Josh Palmer, and Deontay Johnson did not participate. Okay, so there's a glaring one that is like real shocking here, and this is actually the first I've seen it. Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, he popped up today. So
re-injured the hammy?
Yes.
re-injured, or is this like a rest?
I don't know if I just saw hamstring, did not practice. So
interesting. Possibly the Steelers are limiting Johnson's reps ahead of Week 8 matchup. We'll probably have more of an update by tomorrow. That's super interesting.
Concerning.
If he re-aggravated, added to injury report today. So go ahead.
If he re-injured it at practice,
it's been that type of year. It's been that type of year. We saw Dulcich, we saw Deontay, and there's another. I mean, Austin Eckler looked like he tweaked his ankle.
I mean, Aaron Jones has been out for
he retweaked his hammy
4 or 5 weeks with a hammy.
He came back.
Yeah, he came back for a game, then missed a game, had his bye, and then he still didn't even.
It's tough. These soft tissue issues are tough.
Albert, no any update on Ken Walker? No, nothing that I saw.
I bet you you probably did this earlier in the day, and obviously they're West Coast. He didn't. Oh no, still nothing. Didn't practice Wednesday. Interesting. That was posted on Sleeper today, so we'll have to see by tomorrow. Miles Sanders, Tank Dell, Austin Eckler full go. Love to see Austin Eckler getting the full work. I just kind of told you I'm a little concerned that his ankle isn't 100% and it just lost a few percentage points last week. Miles Sanders right now has got to be full go. I mean, he's on the brink of losing a job here.
Yeah. He needs to put a game together. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough rest of the season.
Yeah. Another person I'm concerned with, not injured, but Dame Pierce. And it seems like I'm coming after your guys, but Dame Pierce has had a rough year.
Yeah, he has, and he's giving up some work to Devin Singletary. A couple of my guys that, I thought they were going to produce pretty well this season, and whether it's offensive line issues or just not being healthy and stuff like that, it's just not coming together.
Two of my favorite guys are on the same team now, so, I mean, I have nowhere to stand is what I'm saying. McDaniels, hopeful Jimmy G can go this week.
I did see that.
Is McDaniels going to get fired?
Oh, yeah.
Is he going to get fired at the end of the year or mid-season?
I don't know. It might be mid-season. It's like a revolt, sounds like.
He's just got a bland offense. He hasn't done anything. Like some of these teams, I don't get why some of these owners are still hiring these bland coaches, dude. Look at McDaniel in Miami. I know I probably talk about this once a week. Look at Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. I mean, he led that team to 13-4. McVay won a Super Bowl at the Rams. Like, Shanahan is, well, they're struggling right now, but time to get creative.
Yeah, you want those up and comers, right? Like you want some revolutionary kind of stuff coming to your program, but McDaniels, I don't think he's it. So it seems like he's going to be fired. If I had to guess, it'd probably be in season. Just with that, it seems like everybody's pissed off.
Okay, so Lions don't win this week or this year. I must be laggy. Has it been bad? Am I like super laggy?
You were a little laggy.
My internet's been a little bit struggling lately.
So is mine.
Say the Lions don't win this year. Make sure you put up like a finger if I'm like sounding horrific, because I'd rather not talk.
Your sound is fine. Just your picture's kind of.
Okay. That makes me a little bit better then. Say the Lions don't win the Super Bowl this year, and Ben Johnson decides, you know what, it's time to go.
He can pick where he wants to go.
Where would that, like, if you were to have a dream situation, who would get fired and where would you want him?
I think it depends who's got the first overall pick.
I have a really good one, but it won't happen. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. I think it depends on where the picks fall this season, so he could kind of handpick his guy. That would be my My guess is how they're going to go about it. He would go about it.
So Chicago.
If he gets fired, yeah.
He would get fired.
Maybe.
If their actual pick is a top 5 pick, I think he gets fired.
After one season?
He was there last year.
Gannon was there last year?
Chicago.
I thought I said Arizona.
No.
Okay.
No, I actually think
it could be
right
Chicago. Now. It could be Chicago. And I would that makes sense, right? It's a young roster. You have picks, you have Fields that you can either keep or trade away. So it makes a lot of sense for a coach to go into that situation.
I'm sure there's a lot of fantasy people that are shouting at their screen right now saying, "The Falcons! Take Ben Johnson to the Falcons!"
I would love that, but Arthur Smith's not going anywhere, unfortunately, for all the shares of every good player they have.
Until he loses. Mayfield and Godwin will play tonight. We could probably just get into our studs and duds.
Yeah, let's get into it. Oh,
quit giving away the spoils.
Whoops.
Those are the spoils, dude. All right, so let's kind of roll right in. We looked at all the games, no buys this week, so really got the pick of the litter here. Who is your QB studs on the week? 1, 2, 18, whatever you want to pick.
Sure. Let's go back to Las Vegas. Jared Goff going up against the Raiders this week. I think we know that he had a pretty rough game against Baltimore, but I think we'll see a pretty good bounce back game. Las Vegas has been terrible against the pass all season long. Jahmyr Gibbs looked good enough to kind of open up the pass game for him. Laporta's going to get involved a lot more, in my opinion. So I'm expecting a pretty good game from Jared Goff going up against the Raiders. And then one of your guys too, I'll let you kind of hit on it, but Sam Howell for me is another pretty good play this week against Philly.
Yeah, so I think again, no buys, but honestly, Sam Howell is getting to a point where he might be. He's currently, I think, QB 11 on the year, so he's in the top 12. It's just, are you gutsy enough to start him over somebody like Dak or whatever those other guys that are falling between 13 and 16? He's had 20 fantasy points against them the first time they saw each other this year. Likely he's going to need to throw a ton. I mean, we're expecting this to be a relatively high scoring game. It was the first time Washington almost beat Philly. I have some desperate plays here too. I don't know if you have any to add. I think Mac Jones versus Miami could be a sneaky start. Desperate, deep, super flex.
That'd be a super flex.
Kenny Pickett versus Jacksonville is a deeper one. Desperate, super flex. But I just wanted to add those because there's, I don't want to. I mean, if people are desperate, I'm trying to think of a situation where you might be that desperate, but it's probably just super flex.
Yeah, I would say super flex plays. Those guys are definitely interesting. Could do a lot worse. We'll get into some of these sits, but
kick off with yours.
Who do you want me to go with my sits? Russell Wilson against Kansas City, I think, is an easy kind of sit for me. They just played 2 weeks ago. He had 2 picks, didn't even get to 100 yards. Kansas City secondary is top 5 against the pass. I think it's going to be a pretty rough game all around for Denver again against Kansas City. And then I'm going to say Minshew Mania against New Orleans would be a sit. I know he just kind of proved me wrong last week against the Browns, but I think that's one game. And I'm not going to, I can't see Minshew coming back to back against great defenses and doing what he has been doing. Otherwise, this guy would be a starter in the league, and he's not. Can he have a good game? Yeah, I think it's possible, but I'm not banking on it. In DFS and any of that sort of stuff, I'm sitting Minshew if he's in your option of playing.
So before I give my comments on this, I want to give this guy a response. I just traded. Tell me if I won or lost. Traded Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, Miles Sanders, and I got AJ Brown, Breece Hall, David Montgomery. I think you won. I mean, AJ Brown is almost equal to Tyreek. Then you're just hugely upgrading at the running back position. I think this is a big win.
Yeah, it's a good win. I like it.
I think I disagree with you on Gardner. Here's the reason why. He can literally turn over the ball 3-4 times and have a sustainable game. I mean, like, he had 3 interceptions and 1 fumble and put up 10 points against Jacksonville. And then last week against Cleveland, he had 1 interception, I think 2 lost fumbles, and put up 30. So, like, the dude has, and only threw 23 times, but I'm expecting him to have to throw. It does
against
depend.
New Orleans?
The thing is, it depends if Derek Carr starts to turn it around.
I think it's going to be a super low scoring game. I'm not anticipating a lot. Jonathan Taylor kind of looks back to a low scoring
game at all, though.
And I get it, but and the one thing going for him is Steichen. Steichen's a great offensive mind. I think he is game planning the hell out of this offense. What he did against the Browns defense was something no other coach has done yet this season. So all kudos to him. And I think if Minshew has a path to having a decent game, it's through the play calling. But again, I'm just not banking on it this week.
Got a couple questions in here. Should I start Kincaid over Waller this week? So Kincaid obviously against Tampa Bay. Waller faces, I think, an easier opponent. And
funny enough,
it's the Jets.
They are my 2 tight ends that I have in start sit. So
who's your start?
I could give my start right now, Darren Waller. Jets have given up 5 touchdowns to opposing tight ends this season, the most in the league. So I think Darren Waller has he had that breakout game. I'm hoping Daniel Jones doesn't play for the sake of Darren Waller. But on the flip side, if we're looking at Kincaid, this Tampa Bay defense has only given up 260 yards and 0 touchdowns so far this entire season. So they are very stingy against the tight end position, while the Jets are not as good. So in this scenario,
Davis night.
Yeah, in this scenario, I'm going Darren Waller. Even though, like, I hate the Giants in general. Like, playing any Giant right now is tough, but if I'm picking between those 2, I'm going with Waller.
Should I start Godwin or Higgins and Kincaid? Okay, so he's asking 2 separate. Godwin or Higgins, Kincaid or Evan Engram?
Just gave my opinion on the tight end position. I'm going Evan Engram. Even with the tough matchup, I'm still going him over Kincaid.
I think you go Godwin over Higgins. I hate that. I love T. Higgins is like literally my favorite wide receiver in the league. I don't think there was reports that he's not fully back, and I'd rather see it before plugging him in if I have an option.
Right? Like,
if I have an option with Godwin.
Yeah. I'd probably go. I'm with you. I think I'm going Godwin, Evan Engram between those.
Thanks. Now I got Josh Allen, Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, Alexander Madison, James Conner, Kyron Williams, AJ Brown, Ramon Ra, Adam Thielen, Sam Laporta, and Jared Goff. Stacked. I get it. It's 10 team, but it's pretty stacked for a 10 team. Yeah. I'll give you my QB sit. I know we kind of got off. If you're listening, we got a little off track, but try to get these questions answered. Yeah. I think you got to wait to see it with Higgins.
Yeah. I mean, Godwin's for sure the safer play. I think T gives you the higher upside of the play, but his floor is, I mean, it could be 2 points. So if it's even a remotely close kind of projected matchup between you and the other guy, like, I would go with Godwin for the safe play.
San Fran secondary is so suspect. So, like,
having
Godwin as an option to do instead of T, I think you just play it safe. My QB sits Geno versus the Browns. You know, it's hard to not sound like a homer, but we watched Gardner sneak in 30 fantasy points. This is kind of going to go against what I just argued about. But honestly, 12 of those points came from 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Could that happen with Geno? Sure. The Browns defense was just a little bit all over the place. I felt very fluky and lucky that Gardner got what he got against the Browns. They really haven't allowed anything to the QB position, and I don't want people to be plugging him in their lineup expecting 30 fantasy points. Yeah,
it was a very abnormal game for that defense. I'm kind of throwing that out the window. It's the NFL. Stuff happens. So I'm not worried too much about about that. I'm with you with Geno. I was going to put him on my list, but I keep putting players against the Browns defense.
George Henny asks Rachaad White, Drake London, Pittman, or Nico Collins. So I'm assuming that if this is a pick one scenario, but we can kind of rank. I think it goes I'll help you with the matchups. Hold on. Pittman faces New Orleans. So Drake London has, I think, an easier matchup against Tennessee.
Yeah, he's got a pretty juicy one.
I think I'm personally going Nico, Drake, Pittman, Rachaad White in that order.
My exact order.
Yep. RB starts on the week. Studs or RB studs. Who we got, Rob?
RB start. I'm going with Ramondre Stevenson again. This week he's going against Miami. I think now it sounds counterintuitive, but I think they're going to get down early. But we have seen the Patriots offense kind of flip back to what they did last season, and why they actually had a pretty decent offense a little bit was Ramondre Stevenson getting involved in the pass game. Last 2 games, he's had 6 targets in each game. So they're getting him more involved in the pass work, and that's when this offense can actually move the ball a little bit. So I'm expecting even more targets this week when they get down big.
And I think you could almost say this the same way. I think Bill is going to want to try to control this game. They might not have Tyreek. They might not have Waddle. If he's trying to control this game, he might run Ramondre a ton. So like say in the other scenario of them holding Miami off decently, Ramondre might be the focal point either way. Because I actually have him on my list as well. So I think I put great matchup to overload Ramondre with touches, and I think it is.
I'm with you. And then also Gus Edwards going against Arizona. He's definitely a touchdown dependent player, but I think he's going to be fine going up against this Arizona defense, who is very suspect against the rush. I still think this is same reason here. Baltimore's offense should get up early in this game. They should be up a good chunk, and then it'll turn into the Gus Edwards show in the second half and just kind of eat that clock up and let him do his thing.
I want to add a deep play here as a start. Pure Strong versus Seattle. Again, I'm going to be on this. I'm going to be you this week. I'm very much tune with this. Feel in tune with this game. Kareem Hunt a little banged up. I expect him to be full go and in the game. But even me and Norton talked about this on Monday. Is Pure Strong actually outsnapped Kareem Hunt once Ford went out of that game. And even at a 50-50, I think this is a deep play. This is a desperate play, but I think he could be a fine play. I mean, the Seattle's defense is pretty rough. They're adding some pieces. I don't expect Frank Clark to be playing this week though, so I'm not really worried about him yet. I think this is a good start for him. I think he's explosive. We saw him explosive one game against the Patriots. We saw him do well last week against the Colts, but there's a chance that he can break off a few big runs and get you the points you need if you're desperate.
Yeah, I'm with you. He has that. He's got a 4.3 speed. Like, the guy can burn. It takes 1 or 2 plays. So I'm with you with how quick he is and how well the Browns scheme up run the run.
Stefanski's hot spot, right? That's what he does best.
So I think if he can find 1 or 2 creases, like he'll do some damage with them. I'm with you on that.
Did you have any more RB starts, or should we slide to our duds of the week for RB position?
Those are my RB starts, but let's get into the RB. We're calling it duds. Najee Harris up against Jacksonville this week. Jacksonville's defense has been a lot better than we have anticipated coming into the season. They've given up the 9th fewest fantasy points per game to running back so far this year. So we kind of say it a lot anyways. Najee's not really doing well. He had a decent game finding the end zone last week, but I'm not expecting him to do too much this week against Jacksonville.
This comment was for you. Mark Moran says, "Hi, Daddy." It's the glasses you got on, dude. Look at those.
Looks good.
No, Najee's been a tough start all year, and I think that's noticeable. And I mean, the dude has had double-digit fantasy points once. It's been a struggle. Did you have? Is he your only one? Because I have a few, but they're not sits. They're just going to be my duds of the week. Oh, he had
So I have
15
it's
points
kind of the
last week.
same.
He got his
Yeah,
first
I'm with
touchdown.
you. Kind of a temper your expectations for James Cook tonight against Tampa. Tampa's been really good against the running back position. Their defense in general has been very solid this season. Fifth fewest points to opposing running backs so far this year. So I think it'll be a tougher matchup for Cook this week, and I'm not expecting a big game, but he's tough to sit.
Yeah, I have a few on my list that I have some worries about. I think it's kind of a tough week for the RB position. So I'm going to kind of run through these fast. And then if you want to chime in on any of them, feel free. Aaron Jones versus Minnesota. Minnesota has been good against RB position. Aaron Jones still coming back from this nagging hammy injury. I don't know if people are plugging them in his lineup. I'm not advocating to bench him necessarily. I'm just a little concerned. He's definitely the type of player that can break off a 40-yard run and you're like your fantasy day is saved, 40-yard TD. But I just would say I'm tempering expectations there. Follow that with Derrick Henry versus Atlanta. Atlanta has been really good against the run.
Yep.
Real good. They haven't given up over 80 yards to a running back this season. I would also say a counterpoint to that is they haven't really seen too many great RBs. I mean, they held ETN to 55. They saw Gibbs in, I think, week 2, and that was the highest. He had 80. I mean, they've just been absolutely stingy against the run. So Derrick Henry worries me a little bit this week. Flip that over on the other side. Tennessee rush defense, always pretty good. Temper your expectations for Bijan Robinson this week, especially after the weird issue last week. Tennessee's rushing front is just incredible. And then Brian Robinson versus Philly. Tough matchup. Going to be he can save your day with a touchdown. The first time he played them, he had 13 points, was RB 15. I mean, just temporary expectation. Don't expect a huge game out of him, but 13 would be great.
Yeah. I'm with you with most of those. Derrick Henry for sure. But there's so many moving pieces with that organization and how it can pan out. You never really know in these situations.
What's up,
There's
TVG?
so much. There's so
Bear
much
down.
talk.
I haven't seen him in a while. Go ahead.
There's so much talk about him being traded that it can go either way. It could be a show out game for Derrick Henry to kind of make his value go up, or they could kind of hold him back a little bit so he doesn't get hurt. So there's a lot of different things that can go wrong for Derrick Henry in that game, in my opinion. And again, really bad matchup against Atlanta. So I'm with you. I think he's a big sit for me this week as well.
Can I kick off with the wide receiver studs this week?
Do you think,
I'm ecstatic about one, dude. It's here. The time is now, or is near. The time is now or near.
Yeah. Time is now
Rashee,
or sometime later.
After the bye. Rashee Rice versus Denver. It's go time, baby. It's Kansas City got a true number one. It's him. He's going to take it. Just because Kelsey dominates doesn't mean that they can't have a wide receiver one. We saw it with Tyreek for years. Rashee and Tyreek, completely different game styles. Go get your Rashee shares. Pick him up. Put him on your lineup. Trade for him. Give the world for him. It's Rashee season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not good. JSN. Plug JSN. Although I feel like
Browns.
Jake Bobo. No. I feel like Jake Bobo fits Tyler Lockett's spot more.
JSN's gonna get the snaps. Yeah, I sure. Like, this is, if you're gonna play him, this is the week against Denver. So I'm with you.
No, you could play him every week.
Just because you went out and traded for him in Dynasty.
I have plugged him for weeks.
You have.
Literally, he's been on like the free agent episodes. He's been on my DFS for weeks.
I'm with you. I think he's a good talent. Yeah, if this is the week to play him if you're going to play him.
Well, that was a lackluster response. So go ahead with your wide receiver stud.
So I went deeper with this instead of those same typical guys you're going to start. If you're looking for a flex option, I'm going Curtis Samuel against Philly this week. I talked about Sam Howell earlier. We both talked about Sam Howell earlier, how we think this is going to be a very pass-heavy game for Washington. We think they're both going to be down a little bit, and it's going to be mostly passing in the second half. Curtis Samuel has been very good this season. He's getting around 8 targets a game, so I can see that continuing, if not a little bit more this week. And Philly's secondary has been getting exposed a little bit this year, so I think Samuel should benefit a little bit from that. And how the game's going to play out. So I'm going with him this week.
Yeah, wide receiver 30 on the year, so definitely in flex territory. Last week had 8 targets, only caught 4 against the Giants, but there was a little bit of an off game against the Giants. And I mean, returned to a limited practice today. You love to see that. He was non-participant on Wednesday.
Yeah, he's got a little foot issue, so it's definitely something to monitor. But I think he'll be full go.
Right direction.
I'm expecting him to play.
The other wide receiver stud I have on the week is George Pickens. Jacksonville's secondary has been pretty suspect all year. I actually think this game, I'll talk more about this as we get to the DFS. I think this game gets a little bit more wild than people are anticipating. Nobody kind of looks at Jacksonville versus Pittsburgh as a high scoring game, but I think there's a chance that it does get high scoring. So I want some plays that could be there. And this offense is starting to turn around a little bit. This Pittsburgh offense.
Mm-hmm.
They had a good week last week.
They did well. Deontay should be out. So again, Pickens should see 10 plus targets.
It kind of sucks that Deontay's out. I mean, Pickens looked great with him in. So
yeah.
Did you have any more studs that you wanted to talk about?
I did. I had Josh Palmer on there until, he popped up on the injury report today with the did not participate.
Scary.
Yeah. So he was somebody I thought was going to have a pretty solid week this week. So that's it.
You just want to slide QJ into that list or no?
No.
Okay. I had a couple deeper plays here as Dobbs. Oh, just one. Dobbs versus Minnesota. Minnesota's defense seems to be coming around as a whole. It's not as fun as
a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But Watson's banged up, kind of underperforming. I think they come back to Dobbs as he was the key to success early season, right? It would be hard for me if I was the coach and saw that the connection Dobbs and Love had, and even you could even say Reed as well, and not come back. So this is a deep play. This is kind of a desperate play, but I think they need to get more of a focus on Dobbs in this offense because Christian Watson inconsistencies are not going to do it for Jordan Love's development.
Yeah, my opinion on that offense as a whole. I think it all hinges on what Aaron Jones can do to open up the pass game. So if we see a lot more Aaron Jones, I think Watson's a good play. I think Dobbs is a good play, and Love should have a good game. So I truly think that whole offense kind of revolves around Aaron Jones, and if he's healthy enough to open up the pass game.
Wide receiver duds on the week. I have a temper expectation one here. You're going to hate it. CeeDee Lamb. Little nervous about CeeDee. Little CeeDee makes me nervous.
So what I'll say on this is I understand the matchup's bad, but they need to make him the focal point of the offense. And if they don't, there's going to be serious issues for the rest of the season, and McCarthy's going to lose his job. So I'm expecting 10 to 12 targets, and if we don't see it, then I'm going to be really nervous.
You scared about anybody or
Marquise Brown this week against Baltimore, top 5 against the wide receiver position.
If Kyler plays, does this change anything or makes it worse?
That changes things a little bit. Dobbs has not been that great. I spoke on this last night. Marquise Brown's got a 62% catchable ball rate, which is 80th in the NFL. He just can't get him the ball consistently enough. Even though he's a top 20 wide receiver right now, against this defense, I don't think it's going to be that good. If Kyler plays, then I'll kind of reconsider stuff, but it's still a very tough matchup. And then D-Hop going against Atlanta. We talked on Atlanta's defense has been very good. We don't know who the quarterback position is in flux right now. We don't really know how that's going to play itself out.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly.
So it's going to be a mess, in my opinion, especially against a good defense. So I'm kind of staying away from all Tennessee Titans this week.
Ken Walker didn't practice today. Okay, so these were written before Albert reported on Seattle for us, but DK Metcalf was one of the sits that I'm worried about versus this Cleveland defense. I have I think I've talked about this game 3 times now, and I'm sorry, but coming off of an injury, you're going to be facing the best defense in football. I think he's a fair sit in this game. I think I would be a little concerned. I think the Seattle offense, honestly, this hurts and helps DK at the same time. You have no Lockett, you have no KW3. Hard to see that this offense gets moving at all, and this isn't just a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I think DK will be okay. The Browns have, for the past couple seasons, they've had some issues with bigger-bodied receivers, I would say, because their cornerbacks are a little bit smaller. Now, unless they put MJ Emerson on him, it could be a little bit different, but we'll see. I'm curious to see how that matchup plays itself out, how they're going to kind of try to take DK away, just because he is so much bigger than most of the cornerbacks that they have. But if Lockett's out, then I think they can kind of double team him, and I think it hurts him if Lockett's out, personally.
Depends on what JSN does in that first half, but I can hear you. Tight end studs and duds.
I gave mine Darren Waller and Kincaid. Waller's
I don't have
start, and my tight end dud is going to be Kincaid, just because of the amount of talk he's getting this week that everyone's kind of saying it's going to be the Kincaid breakout. Yeah. I don't see that. I think it's going to be, you got to give it a week just because of how good the Tampa Bay defense is against the tight end position.
I have my stud is Jake Ferguson versus the Rams. You know, the Rams defense been horrific against the tight end. They did okay last week, but that was
Freiermuth was out.
Yeah, Freiermuth was out. They did okay against the Cards, but that's against Dobbs. I think Ferguson it gets utilized a ton already, and we see him. They kind of focus on him in this game. What up, guys? Last call. We starting Mixon or James Cook, full PPR. Leaning Mixon for volume. No Vita Vea tonight, though. For Cook intrigues me.
I'm going Mixon.
I'm going Mixon, too, for volume.
I'm going Mixon.
You know what's been interesting about Mixon is he hasn't got as many targets as you would love to see. Mm-hmm. I think that changes eventually, though. I mean,
yeah, this offense is starting to roll a little bit more.
Get a bye week, and
there should be more. Yeah, there should be a lot more scoring opportunities. I don't want to say more. Well, I will say that more scoring opportunities for Mixon, because anything within the 20-yard line for Buffalo, it's the Josh Allen show, throwing the ball or running.
Latavius Murray show, even.
Latavius Murray, like Cook just isn't utilized in that area. Mixon will be. So I'm going to go with Mixon on this one. James Cook was my RB, kind of temper your expectations on this week.
Yeah, I think if the option is Mixon or Cook, I'm going Mixon. I know they're going against San Fran, kind of a scarier matchup. But again, I think they get the bye in them. I think he hopefully right now has 21 targets on the year. Hopefully that average goes up a little bit more, because that's what 21 divided by 6, less than 4 a game. You probably want him to be right around 5 targets a game. To get some of that up. It's
fair.
It is fair. I think you look at the Niners defense, and you have to have some. Shanahan's offense is almost QB proof, but if you have any concerns about Darnold starting, that defense might be out there too long. Get a little bit tired. Kirk carved them up, and then the Browns kind of carved them up what they're working with
the practice squad quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The defense, the defense hasn't looked good the past 2 weeks. Now, could they come back this week and just be, shut down this Cincinnati Bengals offense? Sure. But I think either way, you're kind of dealing with 2 very good defenses against the run. So I'm going to lean with Mixon, who, again, should have the goal line opportunities if they present themselves, where I know James Cook isn't going to really get those.
I think that's a good way to put it. Thanks for the question. I'm assuming Dylan. Could be Dylan. No, thanks for the question, Dylan. Yeah, so I had no tight end dud, but we could talk DFS if you're ready to.
Let's get into it.
I refuse to put a tight end dud, dude, because
yeah, it's tough.
usually, what are you working with? You know, I'd rather just people ask questions and I'll pick from there. But let's hear it, Rob. Let's hear this.
So
glorious
I have a couple
lineup.
lineups made right now, but I spent on the QB position this week, just with how it kind of played itself out. I went Jalen Hurts, 9,200. We've been talking about this game for the last couple for the whole show, Washington, Philly. So I went Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith because I like the price, and I truly believe a Devonta Smith breakout game is going to happen very soon. And then I followed that back up with Curtis Samuels. I went with Gus Edwards and Ramondre at my RB position. They're my two plug in this week. I love the value for where they're going. I think they're both going to have really nice days. And then in that Miami game, I went with Tyreek Hill to counterbalance that. Tyreek already said that he is planning on playing. He said he's fine. So against the New England secondary, who hasn't been up to snuff how they have been, I'm a little bit worried that, you know, we know how Bill Belichick can kind of take one piece away from the pie. But I think Tyreek is just so good that he's matchup proof and Bill Belichick proof, if you want to say anything. And I'm with you, Mario. Jake Ferguson at my tight end position. I think he's going to have a very nice day against probably the worst defense against tight ends so far this season. And then the one I'm super worried about, Christian Watson, 6,300 against Minnesota. Minnesota, like you said, Minnesota's defense has been a little bit better, but I'm expecting Watson to have a nice day. If, again, I'm going to monitor Aaron Jones throughout the week and make sure that he is full go, ready to do it. If Aaron Jones is back on the field and getting that 2-1 to A.J. Dillon, I think it opens up the offense and Christian Watson can have a nice day. And then Atlanta Falcons, I talked about it earlier. I'm staying away from all the offensive players on the Tennessee Titans, so that means I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons defense because I just don't think they're going to be able to move the ball.
Good football defense. Hasn't been a great fantasy defense. Hopefully,
no, but at 3,900, I'm not looking for a massive day. But can it happen with a rookie quarterback or Malik Willis, however they're playing the quarterback position? Sure, there could be some turnovers. But regardless, I just don't see Tennessee putting up too many points. And in that case, I still think I'll have a pretty decent day scoring-wise with the price.
Yeah, the call-outs that I have here is I think I'm debating Ramondre and Breece, and you'll see it once we move over. And I feel like I'm just all in on Ramondre after our discussion. So I have to really figure out, maybe I can just put Ramondre in the flex and remove one of my wide receivers. Christian Watson, though, like you called it out yourself, you're worried about it. I feel like that's a huge risk. I think this lineup,
and it could
you already have that risk with Curtis. I think you could, maybe even Gus is a little bit risky. I think you got to lock in somebody that you're a little more confident there.
Yes, and the thing of it is how much money. I spent so much on Jalen, and I have other lineups built around this game as well, where I have Sam Howell, and I was able to fill out my roster a little bit more consistently. But with spending up on Jalen and Tyreek Hill for my flex spot, I didn't have as much money as I wanted to deal with. So I'm choosing now. I might switch him with somebody. I think I can afford Nico Collins, so he might go in there.
Tyreek, I mean, granted, they were at New England, 9 targets, 5 catches, 40 yards, 1 tutty.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Tyreek, but could I change Tyreek to somebody else a little bit cheaper? Sure, which it might happen. Again, this is my preliminary. I'm going to kind of monitor the situation throughout the week, but right now, this is what I'm rolling with.
All right, roll with it. Roll Tide.
Roll Mario. Let's see what you got.
I think I want to get Ramondre in this lineup. All right, so the game that I'm focusing on, though, is Jacksonville-Pittsburgh. I feel like it could be way higher scoring than we're anticipating. So I think this might be the first time I'm using Trevor Lawrence in one of these lineups. I stack him with Calvin Ridley. There was a really good tweet that kind of excited me about the potential of Calvin Ridley. I'll try to pull it up as I read the rest of this. We bring that back with good old George Pickens going against Jacksonville secondary. I talked about it earlier. Not a great secondary. Should have a day there. Here's the Calvin Ridley bounce back spot from Graham Bartfield at Graham Barfield on Twitter. Like this Calvin Ridley bounce back spot. Ridley leads in target share 24% and air yard share 43% over Christian Kirk, who is at 17 and 22 respectively, against single high coverage looks. The Steelers play single high at the 7th highest rate and are giving up the 3rd most yards per game to outside receiver. Big Calvin Ridley day, hopefully. Last time I saw a tweet that was similar to this, I actually think it was Ridley again. No, it was Christian Kirk on the flip side. Somebody mentioned how Christian Kirk has a juicy matchup. I think it was against Kansas City week 2, and it was a juicy matchup for him. Anyways, at the RB position, going Breece Hall. Maybe this is where I put Ramondre at the Giants. Giants defense looking a little bit better. Maybe that's where I put Ramondre. Okay, I'll let you talk. Okay. CMC, first time he's been in my lineup, 9,200, big spending. Expect the 49ers to have to use him in a ton of different ways. Hopefully he is fully healthy and ready to go. I got Jordan Addison going against Green Bay. Now, this one concerns me if Jair is back to healthy. I have to check on his status throughout the week because honestly, I'm not gonna test that. Talked about George, talked about Ridley. Me and Robbie both decided Jake Ferguson is the play this week at tight end. And then I mentioned it earlier in the show, Rashee Rice against Denver. Let's go. Browns defense at Seattle. With all those injuries, this is making it even juicier and juicier to spend up on the Browns defense this week.
I like it. If I had a nitpick.
Let me hear it, dude.
I like Rashee Rice. I like the price of it. I like the prices of where you got your guys. Jordan Addison, I think, can have especially if Jair is out. We saw what he did last week. Could he replicate it? Sure. They're going to be honing in on him, but let's see if he can handle it.
So Jair did not participate because of his back injury, and that was today. So I'm feeling pretty good about Jordan Addison.
Okay. I like it.
Rob, any last thoughts before we get to this Thursday night game? You ready to do this?
Let's get into it, baby. I'm ready for some football.
I'm ready for some football. All right. We will be back Sunday morning. Is it me and you? You off again? You might be off again.
I thought you were taking off.
Next weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the schedule.
All right. We'll figure it out, but make sure you tune. You're going to ban us again. Make sure that you check us out at noon Eastern time, an hour before games on Sunday. We'll be live answering start-sit questions, any concerns, any last-minute questions you have. And then make sure to tune in on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Tuesday, Wednesdays at 9, on Thursdays at 7, all Eastern time. And then hit us up on Twitter at DadBodFS. If you have any questions in the meantime, follow us, chat with us, whatever it may be. For myself, for Robbie, Bobby, we love you guys. Peace. Forgot to have the outro right. Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so